Minnesota Congressman Keith Ellison. Believe it or not, he is the leading candidate to run the DNC. Now, that is the Democrat Party apparatus. Very important job when you chair the DNC. Frank Gaffney is with us. He's with the Center for Security Policy. And Frank does not like Ellison. What has he done wrong, Frank?
Well, Stuart, it's not a personal thing. I believe that one of the most serious challenges our country is facing at the moment is whether we're going to understand at long last and deal effectively with something that goes by different names. I think the best way to describe it is kind of Islamic supremacism. And Islamic supremacism manifests itself, of course, in violent jihad, and everybody's against that. But it also is evident in the form of a sort of stealthy kind of jihad. A civilization jihad is what this group, the Muslim Brotherhood, has called it. A secret plan that the United States government discovered and introduced into evidence in the largest terrorism financing trial in U.S. history. It's not meant for our eyes, but it was written for the leadership back in Cairo. And what this document does, and it's available for free at securefreedom.org, by the way, but you can find in it a very comprehensive laydown of how, through using influence operations, front groups, and basically subversion, the Muslim Brotherhood hopes to achieve what they call their goal of destroying Western civilization from within. And amazingly, Keith Ellison has been associated with, an enabler of, and very strongly supported by a number of the groups, including those identified by the Muslim Brotherhood itself.
That doesn't make him a jihadi, though, does it? That doesn't make him a stealth jihadi by any means.
It doesn't necessarily. But what it does do, Stuart, I think, is signal to, I hope, the Democratic Party, and certainly to the rest of us, that this is a man who has found it, for whatever reason, politically expedient, or perhaps something he is actually personally committed to enable, to promote, to assist those who have this subversive agenda in mind. And he took money from one of the worst of these groups, one that's actually been identified by federal prosecutors as the overt arm of the Muslim Brotherhood in America, the Muslim American Society, to make the so-called Hajj to Mecca. And, you know, this just raises a real question. He's got ties with the hard left going back to his college days, all documented very powerfully in a new film called The Enemies Within by Trevor Loudon. You can find it at enemieswithinmovie.com. This is a guy I don't believe should be running the Democratic National Committee. And if he does, I don't think it speaks well of Democrats and their ability to lead the American people.
But Frank, you could say that almost any Muslim who stands either office or office within the Democrat Party, you could say about virtually any Muslim, that there is contact with other Muslims who may be out there in terms of their religion and the way they see the world. I mean, well, to some degree...
That's not quite what I'm saying.
I know it's not, but, you know, there's an element of guilt by association here, and I think we should all be very careful of that, Frank.
Well, I think what you have to do is, when there are associations with very dangerous entities, you have to make the dots connect. I think clearly just being a Muslim or just having Muslim connections is not a problem, except to this extent, Stuart. And this is one of the reasons why this is such an important issue. And I'm so pleased that Donald Trump has said he intends to counter the networks that are involved in radicalizing people in this country. That's generally the Muslim Brotherhood, and that's one of the distinctions, I believe, between them and Muslims who are not a problem, clearly.
All right,
Keith Ellison is one, I think.
Frank Gaffney, we appreciate you being here. Thanks for your input.
Thank you.
Yes.